The NBA dunk contest was once considered a rite of passage for any player who wanted to be considered the face of the NBA. From Julius Erving to Dominique Wilkins to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, each player put together some of the best dunk routines we've ever seen, and they did it all in front of millions of people. If free throws are intimidating to some people, imagine trying to complete one of the hardest acts in sports in a competition against the best in the world at an event that has every single pair of eyes in the arena fixated on you without blinking. And it all began in Denver with the very first ever slam dunk contest on January 27th, 1976. But this wasn't any other All-Star game. This was the very last All-Star game before the ABA-NBA merger. This night would ultimately become one of the most important games in basketball culture, as anyone that was there or saw it on the news or heard about it during its time understood the impact it immediately left. Many even argue that this dunk contest was so successful that it ultimately pushed the NBA to adopt 4 teams instead of 2, with the Denver Nuggets, Indiana Pacers, New York Nets, and San Antonio Spurs. It was no secret at the time that the NBA was the big brother to the ABA, but there was also no denying that the ABA had a sense of style and pace that was extremely entertaining, and the NBA could greatly enhance its product by incorporating a larger portion of that in, which was immediately proven correct, as the first NBA All-Star game included 10 players who had entered the league through the merger. And wouldn't you know it, within 20 years, the dunk contest would become one of the most anticipated in basketball, let alone sports. At one point, you could make an honest argument that the dunk contest was a bigger event than the actual All-Star game itself. It seemed like walking off the court as the dunk champion held more steam than carrying off that All-Star game MVP, which is now known as the Kobe Bryant Award. Rest in peace. Drink your water. For those that played NBA Live 2005, you remember how game-changing it was when EA introduced that mode to the world. I can still remember losing my mind the very first time I went between both legs. That game truly left its mark, and it was only made possible because of how popular the dunk contest was becoming. By now, the event was arguably at its peak, as Jason Richardson was coming off his back-to-back wins, and we were now seeing Nate Robinson putting together some of the most entertaining dunk routines we'd seen to date. Nate Robinson's ability to work the crowd was a huge part of why he was so successful. This proves why star power is so critical in being successful here. Superstar athletes, they're able to work crowds like gladiators in a coliseum, and it's because of the respect they hold of their audience. When Matt McClung, someone not even in the NBA, tries to work up a crowd, it falls on deaf ears, as most people don't even know who he is. And while he does make up for it in his talent and abilities, it just doesn't draw the same energy as seeing someone in LeBron's position do it. The audience wants to live vicariously through their entertainment. They want to see what it's like for the greats of their era to put it all on the line and do whatever it takes to enhance their legacy. But if you notice, that list of names, it ended with Kobe Bryant, who stopped being the face of the league around 2013. Which begs the question, why wasn't the torch passed forward? Why did LeBron James never win a dunk contest, let alone compete in one? Was it that LeBron felt the dunk contest had lost its luster and just wasn't worth his time? Or was it that he didn't feel he could move the contest forward with anything innovative? Almost every one of my channel's viewers is not subscribed to the channel. Do me a huge favor and hit that subscription button. We're trying to get monetized. My dog and I. It's no secret that the main issue of this contest is that it feels like there's nothing new left to present. It's as if we've seen everything there is when it comes to dunking a ball in a hoop. We've seen one-handed dunks. We've seen two-handed dunks. We've seen people dunk backwards. We've seen people jump over cars. We've seen people blow out candles. We have seen a lot of dunks. So is this inevitable desensitization, or did something go awry? Or is it lack of talent? Does the NBA even have the dunking talent available? And then it leads to the questions, is it the player that makes the dunk contest interesting, or is it the actual dunks that turns heads? How does LeBron James doing a dunk we've seen before compare to someone we've never heard of doing something that pushes the envelope a little bit further? Or have we reached a point where we care more about seeing someone push the physical boundaries than we actually do the person doing it? The reality is, it's both. Fans want to see their favorite players push the envelope. You would think players making $50 million a year would feel obligated to put on a show as a thanks to making their annual income possible. The TV deals that make NBA contracts so lucrative do not exist without eyeballs on the television. The home run derby is essentially the same format as it's ever been, but year after year, MLB fans continuously lose their minds over it. There's something about watching your favorite players step up to the plate and the sound of that ball cracking against the bat and rocketing into the sky. Is there not a similar feeling seeing your favorite NBA players slowly bounce the ball off the hardwood, sending echoes through the silent arena as they position themselves for their takeoff? So what really is the difference? Why have people lost interest in dunks but not home runs? Anticipation and presentation are two of the strongest tools one has when creating excitement, and it's hard to bring forth an A+ presentation when you have your D-list presenting. Going from superstars like Vince Carter to bench players like Obi Toppin is not how you're going to get the attention of your audience. A contest between Ja Morant and Giannis, something like that sounds legendary. The league needs to sit down with their stars and figure it out, as the incentive to participate also declines when you factor in how much these players are risking if they get injured. Nobody wants to risk a max contract because they hurt themselves training for a dunk contest. So if the NBA doesn't have players that want to participate in a dunk contest moving forward, what could be the solution? And I think it's quite obvious. It's a one-on-one event. Want to see Ja Morant and Giannis dunk? Well, make them dunk on one another. Force them to play each other to 21. Put together a tournament of the best players in the league, and I think people will turn out and watch this. There is truth to the idea that when you've seen something so many times, it loses its appeal. After we've seen a between the leg dunk so many times, it just doesn't hit the same. There's no denying that. Well, serious, drink your water. So if it is indeed true that we can't go back and the NBA contest will no longer be interesting, the next logical step would be a one-on-one tournament. What are your thoughts? Do you think the NBA dunk contest can be saved? Do you think it's worth saving? Who would you want to see compete if you thought it could be saved? And what players do you think should be competing in the dunk contest? Would you be interested in a 1v1 tournament? Do you think that would be valued by the players and the fans? Alright, that's enough yapping for today. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
But George Gervin was in that dunk contest. Artis Gilmore, rookie David Thompson, and Larry Keaton. And
Marvin Barnes.
You guys all had to do 4 dunks.
Right, we had to do dunks from certain positions on the court. And one was outside of it wasn't the foul line, but it was a circle, the semicircle.
Yeah.
So the one from outside of the semicircle, that was one where I stepped on the foul line and did it just to make sure. Because I've dunked from farther out than that, but the requirement was to be outside the circle. And it was interesting. I mean, I thought that prior to that dunk contest, I used to do clinics for kids, starting in college, and then every year afterwards I do free clinics sponsored by Converse, and did camps, and I go down the playground. So I usually, every time I talk to kids, I'd always end up the talk by doing some kind of move that they can remember me by, and the dunk from the foul line was a classic move to do and execute and keep running out the door. go to the locker room and change, because how kids are. Like you do a move or do a shot, they're like, do it again. When I do this, ain't gonna be no do it again. Next one who's gonna do this is gonna be you.
So you would end it with a dunk, you just keep running?
I would end it with all my clinics,
yeah.
Converse clinics. That was my trademark, to end it with a dunk and go through the door. That was a way of saying goodbye. Yeah. Keep a good impression at the end.
Yeah, great impression.
Pretty good impression.
Do you remember what you won for that dunk contest in '76? What the prize was?
Yeah, I got a check. I think it was maybe 500. Maybe $500.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it might have been $500 that they had to divide up between all the players.
And if you enjoyed this video, think about watching either of these videos that's on the screen. As always, hit that sub button and turn on notifications. Go out there and do something great.